Most parents picture their baby in the womb as a quiet, sleeping passenger, curled up and waiting to be born. The real picture is nothing like that. Right now, inside that belly, a baby is listening, tasting, dreaming, and already learning things about their parents that will shape their very first day outside the womb. Once you see what researchers have actually found, you will never look at a pregnancy the same way again. Welcome to Inside the Baby Mind, where we go past what your baby does and into what they are actually thinking and feeling. I've linked some of my favorite products for new parents in the description if you want to check them out. Subscribe if you have not already. Let's go. The first thing is that your baby is almost constantly moving long before you can feel any of it. By around 9 weeks of pregnancy, a baby is already stretching, turning, and making tiny motions their parents cannot yet detect. By the second trimester, researchers using ultrasound have documented babies bringing a thumb to their mouth, changing position dozens of times a day, yawning, gently rubbing their own face, and even rehearsing crawling-like motions months before they will ever need them. What a parent feels as a kick is only a small fraction of everything actually happening inside. Researchers estimate that a mother typically notices only a small percentage of total fetal movement, since much of it is too gentle, too internal, or cushioned by amniotic fluid and the placenta to be felt from outside. The baby, in other words, is far busier than the occasional kick would suggest. Some of this movement even follows a loose daily rhythm of its own, with many babies showing bursts of increased activity in the evening, often right around the time a parent finally sits down to rest, which may explain why so many pregnant parents swear their baby seems to save its liveliest moves for bedtime. The second thing is about voice recognition, and it is one of the most striking findings in the entire field. In a well-known study, researchers played a recording of a mother's voice to one group of fetuses and a stranger's voice reading the exact same words to another. The fetuses hearing their own mother's voice showed a distinct change in heart rate compared to those hearing an unfamiliar voice. Their nervous systems could already tell the difference. Researchers running this kind of study describe it as one of the clearest, most direct pieces of evidence that a baby's brain is not a blank slate waiting for birth to begin. It is already actively processing and distinguishing the people around it. This is part of why newborns so reliably turn toward their mother's voice within hours of being born. They have already been listening for months. A mother's voice reaches a baby filtered through her own body, heard hundreds of times a day for months, which likely explains why it becomes one of the most deeply familiar sounds in a baby's entire world before they have ever opened their eyes to see the person it belongs to. The third thing is about taste. Around 20 weeks of pregnancy, a baby's taste buds are fully formed, and from that point forward, flavors from what a mother eats pass into the amniotic fluid around the baby, who swallows it regularly. Researchers have found that babies whose mothers regularly ate a particular food during pregnancy showed a clearer preference for that same flavor months later, the first time they tried solid food. A baby's earliest food memories are being built long before their first bottle or spoon. This means the specific flavors common in a family's everyday cooking, whatever those happen to be, are quietly becoming familiar to a baby weeks or months before that baby ever tastes solid food directly. Stay with me, because the next part is the one I most want every parent to hear before this baby ever arrives. If Inside the Baby Mind is getting you something real, take a second to subscribe. We put out new science every few days. The fourth thing is about sleep. By the third trimester, a baby spends the vast majority of their time asleep, but not in one uniform block. They move through distinct states, including quiet sleep, active sleep with bursts of movement, and brief alert periods. Researchers who have tracked these patterns across pregnancy have found something remarkable. Babies with more irregular, chaotic sleep-wake patterns in the womb tend to become newborns who sleep less predictably, while babies with calmer, steadier patterns often carry that steadiness into their first weeks of life. This connection was strong enough in some studies that researchers could meaningfully predict certain aspects of a newborn's sleep behavior based on patterns observed months earlier, before the baby had ever taken a single breath outside the womb. In a very real sense, a baby's early temperament is already sketching itself out before birth. This does not mean a baby's personality is fixed before birth in any rigid way. Countless things shape a child after they arrive. But it does suggest that some of what looks like newborn temperament is not something that appears out of nowhere on day one. It has roots stretching back months. By the way, if you want to see the specific products that have genuinely worked for our family, I've put a short list in the description below. The fifth thing is about emotion, and this is worth hearing gently without any anxiety attached to it. When a mother experiences stress, hormones like cortisol cross the placenta within minutes, and researchers have recorded measurable changes in fetal heart rate and movement in response, sometimes within minutes of a shift in the mother's own physiological state. The reverse is also true. Calm, laughter, and relaxation reach the baby just as readily. This does not mean ordinary stress causes harm. Occasional stress is a completely normal part of pregnancy and does not damage a baby. It simply means that even before birth, parent and baby are already participating in a kind of shared emotional conversation. Researchers studying this connection have been careful to note that this is not a reason for expecting parents to feel additional pressure or anxiety about managing every emotion perfectly. A baby's developing nervous system is resilient, and this research describes an ongoing biological relationship, not a fragile system that ordinary life could easily damage. A hard day, an argument, a stressful commute, none of that is cause for worry. What the research points to is something broader and steadier, that the emotional texture of a pregnancy, taken as a whole over many months, is one more thread quietly woven into who a baby is becoming. The sixth thing is about practicing for the outside world. Those small rhythmic flutters many parents feel are usually fetal hiccups, and researchers believe these are the diaphragm rehearsing the breathing movements a baby will need the moment they are born. Babies are also documented sucking their thumb, practicing swallowing, and blinking. One study even found that fetuses in the third trimester will turn their head to follow face-like patterns of light shown through the abdomen, suggesting a preference for human faces before a baby has ever actually seen one. Taken together, these small rehearsals, breathing, sucking, swallowing, blinking, even an early pull toward face-like shapes, look less like random fetal activity and more like quiet preparation for a world a baby has, until now, only experienced through muffled sound and filtered light. And now we have arrived at the heart of this video, the seventh thing. Your baby is not waiting to begin their life. They are already living it. They already have a voice they recognize and trust. They already have flavor preferences taking shape. They already have a rhythm of sleep and activity that will carry into their first weeks at home. And they already have an emotional connection to their parents that has been quietly building for months before that first moment of holding them. The relationship many parents feel begins on delivery day has, in truth, already been running for a long time by them. Every conversation held nearby, every meal eaten, every quiet or difficult day lived through, every song hummed without a second thought has already been reaching this baby in some form long before anyone officially says hello. If this is landing, take a second to like this video and leave a comment. Did any of these 6 things surprise you? I read every single one. The 8th thing is about what parents can actually take from this, practically speaking. None of this requires doing anything differently or performing for a baby who cannot consciously register a performance. Talking normally, eating the foods a family naturally enjoys, singing if that feels good, resting when the body asks for it, and generally living a normal life are already exactly what a developing baby is designed to be part of. This is not a checklist. It is simply a window into a relationship that has already quietly begun. If anything, the research offers permission to simply keep living normally and trust that ordinary life, the talking, the eating, the singing, the resting, is already doing exactly what a developing baby needs it to do. The ninth thing is about why this matters most in those final weeks of pregnancy, when many parents feel like nothing has really started yet. Understanding that a baby has already been listening, tasting, and responding for months can shift how those last weeks feel less like a waiting room and more like the ongoing middle of a relationship that is simply about to become visible. The connection is not starting at birth. It is only becoming easier to see. For a parent who has spent months wondering whether any of this is really landing, whether a baby somewhere in there is actually taking anything in, the research offers a quiet, reassuring answer. Yes, they already are. Not because of anything extraordinary being done, but simply because of the ordinary, continuous fact of being close to someone day after day for months on end. And the last thing, the 10th thing, the simplest one. The next time you feel a small flutter from inside, pause for a moment and take it in. That is not simply a baby growing. That is a small person already tasting tonight's dinner, already listening for a familiar voice, already sleeping and waking in a rhythm they will carry into the world, already learning what calm and connection feel like, and already, quietly, getting ready to meet the people who have been their whole world the entire time. None of this requires anything extra from a tired, pregnant body already doing an enormous amount of work. It is simply happening in the background of ordinary days, exactly as it is supposed to. Welcome to Inside the Baby Mind. The bond does not begin on delivery day. It is already months old, and your baby has been paying attention the whole time.